Just nothing better. Nothing better. Come on. Nothing better. Hello friends, and welcome back to Rachel's Baking Corner. Today we will be making pumpkin cookies. So this is a family recipe. This is my grandma's recipe, and she used to always make this around Christmas time. And 'tis the season, it is Christmas time. So I wanted to make these cookies in homage to her, show you her amazing recipe. It's very versatile and it's very delicious. So without further ado, we will talk ingredients, tools, order of operations, and get baking. All right, yay! This little cookbook here is where I used to write down my family recipes, and now I use the internet. So I don't have a lot in here, but I do have this recipe in here. So real quick, Grandma does pumpkin and raisin as her cookies. I prefer the chocolate chips. I also prefer pecans. So I will kind of explain to you how I do that in a second here, because not everyone likes pecans, but everyone likes chocolate. So you can also do walnuts, you can do the raisins, you can do anything in there, or you can just leave them alone. It's totally fine. So let's talk ingredients. We have 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of canned pumpkin puree, 1 cup of brown sugar, 1 egg with 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Next, we have our active ingredients and spices. We have 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of nutmeg. And sorry, Grandma, but I did add 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. I don't trust any cookie recipe that doesn't have salt. I think it's necessary, very much so. So just saying, just throwing that out there. And then 1 stick of butter or half a cup, room temperature, nice and soft. Now, chocolate chips. You can do semi-sweet, you can do milk chocolate, you can do dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is fantastic in these cookies, but I have just gone with semi-sweet today. And then I just have some pecan pieces, roughly chopped pecans. Now, when you're making these cookies, you always add the chocolate chips at the end for any chocolate chip kind of cookie. I will throw the chocolate chips in at the end, mix it up. I'm going to scoop out 1 tray of just the chocolate chips into a baking tray. Then, with what's left in here, I will add the pecans, mix that up, and then scoop out the rest of the cookies with both the pecan and chocolate. That way, people can pick and choose if they want nuts or if they just want the chocolate chips. So, without further ado, let's get mixing. This is a pretty easy recipe. This is a cakier cookie. This is not a thin, soft, crispy kind of chocolate chip cookie. This is pumpkin, so this is gonna be cakier, a little bit like scone-like, buttery and tender and delicate, but so flavorful and delicious, and it's still very handheld like a cookie. So, these blew my mind as a kid, and when I found out how easy they were to make, I've made them countless times now. So this follows a very basic cookie recipe. So we are going to use our stand mixer. You certainly don't have to. You can use a hand mixer, or you can use elbow grease if you really felt like it. You've heard me say this before if you've seen any of my previous videos. We are gonna start with our butter. With any good cookie recipe, you gotta cream that butter. Get some air in there, get it nice and fluffy. Start off low, give it a second, crank it up maybe 2 more notches, and give that about 30 seconds to a minute to whip up good. We'll crank it up another notch. My butter might have been a little too warm, too soft. Life goes on. Real quick, while that's whipping up, let's add our active ingredients to our flour. And just give that a little zhuzh so that those active ingredients and spices are properly suspended throughout the flour. That's not gonna get a lot fluffier. It's pretty soft, so whoops, it's okay. We're gonna add our brown sugar, plop that down, and give it a whirl. Start low so you don't make a terrible mess. This is where it'll get nice and fluffy and creamed. that brown sugar is gonna slice and dice through that butter as it whips, and it's gonna incorporate air while it's doing that. It's also going to dissolve into the butter a little bit as it gets smashed around. So this is a really essential part in any cookie baking. When you get a good butter, sugar, cream start, you're gonna have good cookies. It's just kind of inevitable at that point. This is also the tastiest part, in my personal opinion, of any cookie dough. Don't ask me why, but just sugar and butter creamed together, it's just delicious. All right, you can definitely tell that that is nice and light in color. I need to scrape the sides down a little bit, but we're gonna just let that get nice and fluffy. Probably let it go for another 30 more seconds, and then we'll add our egg and vanilla extract. Let me turn this down. Let's scrape the sides real fast. Okay, we're gonna let this go just a little bit longer, just to get that extra butter that I scraped off mixed in. Let's drop it down to a stir, and let's turn it off. I'll make a mess. Toss in our egg and vanilla, and get that incorporated. I guess I was supposed to add the pumpkin at the same time as the egg. Doesn't make a big difference, but let's add the pumpkin. Oh, gross. Okay, let's whip in this pumpkin. Just about done here. We just gotta add the dry ingredients and the topping. It instantly takes on a goofy form. It looks a little weird. Don't worry, it's fine. Once you add in that flour, it gets very dough-like, and it's perfectly fine. It's so fragrant. Just you wait, we're about to add these delicious spices, and it's gonna get even better. I never know what to do with this thing. We are going to toss in some of our dry ingredients, probably about half. Get that incorporated, and then we'll do the next half. So, start slow. It's a pretty wet batter, so it mixes in pretty quick. Okay, we don't want to overmix. As soon as you stop seeing that flour, add in more. I'm doing this blind. This is so risky. Back in. Slow. I do a start and stop. I do a start and stop motion to avoid that from happening, but you know, sometimes you can't avoid it. If you used a whisk attachment, it wouldn't happen as much, but I need the paddle to properly cream the sugar and stuff, so life goes on. Great. So, I have learned that as soon as you stop seeing the flour, you need to stop mixing and do the rest of it by hand. So, I'm gonna put my spatula in here. Gonna take this bad boy off. Ugh. Scrape her down. Let's take it off the mixer. Set it down. Chocolate chips. And we'll hand mix that in. Let me show you a close-up. It's just beautiful. Just a thing of beauty. Thick, cakey, fluffy, holds its own. You could eat it like this, but I highly recommend you bake it. It's worth it. Cookie sheet. All right, so we have our dough ready to go, minus the pecans. A large ice cream scoop or spring-loaded cookie scoop. Just a little less than that, just not terribly full. These fluff up, but they don't get huge. They don't spread out quite a bit. So you can put them pretty close to each other and it's not a big deal. The cookie scoop kind of helps ensure that they're pretty uniform in size. And it's just way easier than using 2 spoons, which is a thing you can do and it's usable. It's just a little easier in my opinion. I have my oven preheating to 375. Let's stop there and add the pecans. Okay, so I'm gonna set that down. add my pecans, mix that in. I only have one silpat at the moment, so I'm gonna throw this in the oven. This will bake for about 8 to 12 minutes. Probably shoot for like 10 to 11 minutes. We have cookies, yay! This is obviously not all the cookies that I made. They're back there and they're still baking, but I wanted to give these a taste. You probably should let these set, but I love when they're warm out of the oven because the chocolate's just melty and delicious, and oh, it's so good. So these are kind of hard to tell when they're done. Typically you can poke them and they're gonna spring back up. They're usually hot at that point and maybe won't. You just kind of want to look for some golden edges, little golden crispy bits, and you can pull it out, check the bottom. You want a nice golden bottom, okay? I'm gonna taste one with pecans in it because that's my favorite. So let me get close. Do, 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 do. Do I look like a housewife? I'm basically a housewife. Cookie. So here's the golden bottom I'm talking about. You can see some golden bits here and there. Let's do this. Super cakey, fluffy, warm and delicious. Let's try. I already know I love them, but fantastic. Fantastic. They're cakey, buttery, they melt in your mouth. The pecan has a good chew to it. The chocolate kind of just coats the whole mouth, and there's nothing better. Nothing better. Come on. Nothing better. I love it. I love it. These could be breakfast, these can be a snack, these can be dessert, these can be whatever you want them to be, because they're amazing. Ah! Did I get chocolate on my face? All right, so friends, that concludes this video. Make these cookies, they're very easy, they're delicious, they're seasonal. It's Christmas time. 'Tis the season for sweaters and Christmas lights, and hanging out with friends and family and baking delicious things and eating them because you can and because you deserve it. It is your right. So I highly suggest you make these. They are a family favorite. I remember them ever since my childhood and they make me very happy. And I think they'll make you happy too. So please like this video if you liked it. Comment down below some suggestions of recipes you'd like me to try. And subscribe for more videos from me. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I hope you have a happy holidays. I'll do a couple more holiday videos this month. And that's about it. I love you. Thank you. Mwah. Goodbye.